Okay, so first thing on the agenda, announcements. Did anybody have any announcements from the board? I know we just met 2 weeks ago, so this is not a lot can change in 2 weeks, but some things did. The only thing that this is not a positive announcement, but at SIM, we have an issue we're trying to figure out right now. One of the well pumps that we use for irrigation is the well motor, if I'm saying that correctly, is we noticed it was getting beat to death. Like it's basically, we have to replace it. We're trying to figure out why. Yesterday they ran a camera all the way down to the bottom and could not find any issue with the well. So now they're going to bring a test pump out to run sand to see whatever, it's over my head, to see what the problem is. Potentially, if we have to replace that well, which is crucial to the operation, it could be upwards of $150,000. That just kind of popped up on Friday. So not the kind of announcement I want to make, but just kind of have that in the back of your mind that that's something we're probably going to have to deal with. There's still a chance that it's something not as big, and we'll squeak by with some luck. But okay, no other announcements. We'll go to public comment. I believe we had none, so we can skip that. The first item was approve the minutes. Those are not ready since we only had a couple of weeks, so we will have those ready to approve at a future meeting. So that brings us to item number 2, and that is the bylaws. And Nate, if you want to take this, I'll turn it over to you.
Hey, everybody. Hope swearing in went well and everything. That's really all I'm kind of like checking on for the most part. We've got the bylaws that I went through the last time. I didn't know, and something we can discuss here. Basically, are there any changes that anyone would like to make or any questions that we have before we consider those for adoption? Okay, sounds good. And again, it's a lot of like legal stuff, so just send questions to me if anything does come up. And I or someone from the law department will be at all of these meetings. And I'm not sure where to look, I guess, at Marsha on the screen. So sorry if I just keep looking around weirdly. If we have questions about any of that, just let me know as they come up, and law department will provide that assistance. So all that we need to do now, oh, sorry.
Just real quick, before you got here, we had issues. So she was able to swear in everyone that's here, but not the 2 virtually. So
okay, sounds good. So then, okay, I should have asked Jesse that. My apologies. I got way too excited thinking that the swearing in went totally smoothly. We've got 2 options then available to us. And this, I guess we can open up at least to the board members who have not been sworn in. You cannot vote yet on the bylaws, but if you do have issues with them, you can suggest that, which leads me to our 2 options of either wait until everyone's sworn in so that we can have a vote of the full board. Not a big deal. We can take actions as necessary by a majority of the quorum pursuant to city code. I'm not sure any actions need to be made today anyway. Or we can have those who have been sworn in vote on the bylaws if we assume there's no objection, if there's no issues raised by folks who haven't been sworn in. If we have questions on those 2 options, just let me know. And I guess it's more if the folks like on Teams have any issues with it or are okay with us moving forward.
I have no objection to the members that are present going ahead with the bylaws as we discussed last week or 2 weeks ago.
Great.
I have no issues either.
Sorry, what was that?
Oh, I was just saying I didn't have any issues with anything either.
Great, just making sure. Okay. So it seems then maybe the best just, as the board moves forward, we can get the bylaws in place. What we do then, we don't really have a president. We can kind of like direct each other a little bit at this point. We need a motion and a second to consider adoption of the bylaws.
Motion we adopt as is.
Okay. Mike Jordan made the motion. Second from Randy. So it's been moved and seconded, and I'll just kind of like take the lead on this. Moved and seconded to adopt the bylaws as discussed at the prior meeting. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed? Okay, so the bylaws have been adopted. We will get those sort of finalized. And probably then the next step we will have when we have everybody sworn in is to nominate officers, which I think maybe makes sense to have everybody sworn in so we have full consideration of everyone. We will then have a full copy of the bylaws for everyone and maybe get them posted, all that sort of stuff for the next meeting. Thanks, everybody.
Okay, perfect. So moving forward, as he said, the next step would have been officer nomination and voting. I think we can probably push that to the next meeting once everyone's sworn in, just so everyone has the ability to nominate and vote for the officers. So we can move to new business, and the first is a cart fee. First item is cart fee. Right now, our cart fee after tax is $12.50. When you look at courses around the area, that's considerably lower. The first two items kind of go hand in hand with the cart lease. I'm really looking at and hoping to increase the cart fee to $15 after tax, just a flat $15. That comes out to about a $2.06 increase before taxes. We can, let me pull up the presentation. It kind of goes with the cart lease. So let me figure out how to do that real quick. Okay, on Teams, can you guys see that?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So our proposed cart replacement plan, something that I'm hoping that we can move forward with. I think we almost have to. Our current cart situation, we have carts that are 5 to 11 years old. If you go to Mac, especially a McDonald golf course, those carts they're way beyond the end of their life cycle. It makes for unhappy customers. Probably the number one complaint I've gotten since I've been here is the condition of the carts. So the service aspect is definitely not where it should be. Carts are consistently dying on the course. The cost of repairs is we're constantly putting Band-Aids on these carts, trying to just keep them running. And as they get older, that just goes up and up. Obviously, just what I said there, it will continue to get worse as the carts age. And then over the last 2 or 3 years after COVID, the big boom that hit golf has created a situation where the carts are seeing 2 times the normal use throughout the course of a year. So they're basically getting 2 years of use every year. And this was at the end of these old carts life cycles. The proposed plan would be, what I would like to do is get us on a lease program. This would go out for RFP. I'd like to look at a 4-year lease plan. The carts at Auburn would be lithium battery. And the reason only at Auburn is just because they have the infrastructure to charge the carts right now. Over this next 4 years of this first lease, I would look at trying to increase the infrastructure so we have somewhere to charge carts and switch to all battery at all courses. So the other 3 would have gas carts for this lease. The current carts that we have we can sell those at a premium price, and the company that we end up choosing after the RFP process would purchase those carts. What we can do, we have different options. You can either apply that to the lease. They can write you a check, or you can use that money basically to make payments on your lease. I would rather just receive the check. I don't want to apply that to the cost of the new lease, because it looks like the cost of that lease is low for the first 3 years, and then suddenly there's a huge increase 3 or 4 years from now when it's a different board and it's hard to explain. So I would rather just get that money and we use that to pay the lease. And obviously a benefit would be that we get new carts every 4 years. When you look at cost, I've talked to a few different companies already just to kind of get an idea how this would look. The number of carts that we have is a total of 285 carts. That's a mixture of electric and gas. The cost per cart per month, the gas carts would be, these are all estimates based on conversations, around $85 for gas and around $100 for the lithium. That would put total per month for all 4 courses combined around $25,000 and around $300,000 per year. The old carts that we currently have around 270 carts. We should be able to get around $2,800 per cart on average, which is around $256,000. So the sale of our old carts would cover the first 30 months of this new lease. Now, the reason I said this ties into the $2 cart increase is because I would like to take that $2 and put that in a cart replacement fund. So we're 30 months ahead as soon as we sign this deal. And then starting immediately, $2 from every cart rental goes into this fund. We've averaged about 125,000 cart rentals per year the last couple of years. So that puts us at $2 a cart rental, about $250,000 per year, which almost pays our lease payment for that year, for altogether. So we're 3 years ahead off the bat, and then we have time to always stay 3 or 4 years, 2 to 3 years ahead, with this plan. So before I go any farther, does that make sense? Anybody have any questions or see any issues?
Hey, Jesse, would you just back up to the previous slide for just a minute?
Okay, so I'm sorry, that would equate to what?
Yeah, no, that's fine. I just wanted to look at this slide for a bit more.
$10.
Um,
Right now, I believe it's 7.
750, so it would be, what do we have this figured out? Yeah, I think we had it at, yeah, 950 and 15, I think is what we were looking at. Yep,
Is it 15, excuse me, is it 15 per rider or?
per rider. Yes. And that's after tax. So really, I think the part we collect is 1426, I believe is what it come out to. So even though it goes up 250 in the actual cost, our part is about $2.06. So, obviously I don't want to keep the cart price where it is and then take $2. That's $250,000 out of our current budget if we do it that way. So that's why this increase is so important. So our budget's not taking a huge hit. The cost, the increase in this cart will roll directly back into new carts always. Marcia, did you have any questions on that page?
The only question I had is probably pretty obvious, but we're selling 270 carts. We're leasing 285 carts. Has there been a shortage of carts occasionally at some of the courses?
Yes. Yeah, with the volume of play, even some of the courses a couple of courses that have enough, they have all their carts running by 10 o'clock on a busy Saturday, we're out of carts. So
Okay.
we're having to stand out, and as soon as they come in, we're trying to flip them. The customers are standing around waiting on carts. So that would give us just enough cushion where we should be okay, even on extremely busy days.
Okay, thank you.
Is that going to be put in a separate fund or just bled into the regular?
It'll be put in a separate fund, just like our equipment replacement fund is now for the maintenance equipment.
The only reason it'd be easy for somebody if they ask a question to see what's happened to that money.
Right. Yeah, we'll be able to, if someone wants to see that, it'll be on the financials.
These are the riding carts, but what about the rentable pull carts?
That's something we just need to start replacing, have a plan to constantly be replacing some of those as they go. Now, some of those are old and in bad shape. So that's something we could spend a little bit up front to kind of get all of the broken down old ones out, get some new ones. And then what I would like to do is just get on a constant kind of replacement plan where we're constantly replacing 25% every so often, or so we don't have 10-year-old pull carts. Obviously the financial impact, it would be a few $1,000s to get that, but it's not obviously anything like this. So, yep. Actually, just learned something. Okay. Never. So, yep.
Has there been, or do you believe, like, from you talking with pros, any concerns from the public on the price increase? Not wanting.
I've actually had several members of the public tell me that we need to go up. And I think the most important thing is getting carts they know aren't going to break down on the golf course. During the summer, I mean, we are pulling 6-8 carts in every single day, just about at every course. So I haven't, and you guys maybe can, I don't know if that's something that's come up from the pros. to the pros? Right. Right. Yep.
Informationally, just, I happened to stop by Reflection Ridge the other day and their nine-hole or their half cart or their seat rates now is 19.
Wow.
What's the average golf, I mean, per year? How many rounds, like for carts? Like just an average golfer, 100 times a year?
Yeah.
Like if I played, how many times a year? So if you up it to $2.50 to $250 per person
Right. I
in a
mean,
card.
yeah, if you're someone that plays 100 rounds, yeah, it would be $250 more spread out through the year.
Jesse, I have a question if nobody's talking. I sometimes can't hear.
No, you're good.
Okay, so what about the timing of this? Is the increase going to go into effect before we get the new carts?
Yes, I would like to, I'm presenting this tonight and I would like to, if, lean on Nate here to make sure this is possible. Is this something that we could vote tonight or should we wait until the next meeting when everyone's sworn in? Okay, the reason I brought this up tonight, I would like to put this to vote as soon as possible, which it sounds like we do, at the next meeting.
One other question. He's going with the lithium battery. You're gonna have any problem at all pushing that lithium battery around the course twice? Okay.
They stage almost 3-4 rounds of that.
Yep. And with the lithium battery, the other advantage, there's no maintenance, there's no water. It's, I was reluctant a few years ago because they were so new, but they've been on the market for a while now and they're phasing out the lead acid batteries completely. So, and I've got this last slide. I want to point this out. The reason for this rush, all manufacturers right now are 6 to 12 months out. If we placed an order today, we would probably be looking at July, August for cart delivery. The lithium battery carts are going to be the quickest delivery. So we would kind of do a shuffle. We would get those at Auburn and then probably move the best carts from Auburn to McDonald to kind of fill in the issues they have there. And then the gas cart should come in shortly behind that. But the main issue, the longer we wait, the longer we're out. So we're going to miss the entire season if we keep pushing this down the road.
What's the lifespan of those lithium batteries and how much do they cost to replace them?
The lifespan is, they're saying about 8 years, 7 to 8 years. They're longer than lead acid batteries. Now they are more expensive if you do have to replace one. It would be covered for, and I don't want to say the wrong thing. The warranty on the battery would be a certain, I don't know, 2 years, 3, I don't know exactly what it is, but it would be covered for a period of time.
Cost to replace?
Let me send that number to you. I don't want to make anything up. So
Probably a 60 amp hour, you're looking for around $2,000.
that's why I was thinking around 2000, but
I was thinking,
yep.
5 amp hour, you're gonna spend $3,000.
Yeah. And you can, I've researched and the feedback so far on lithium batteries has been incredible. It's everyone was kind of waiting. Are they going to have problems down the road? And they're still going. So, yes, sir.
Is there any charge or expense to upgrade your power distribution for recharging?
It's actually cheap. You mean to charge the lithium versus
No, the charge stations for lithium will be different than for your lead acid. So I'm asking, is there an expense to upgrade your charging stations?
No. It would just plug in normally. It actually would end up costing less, cheaper to charge a lithium battery than it is a lead acid. They charge quicker, so you actually save a little bit on the electricity that you use to charge the batteries. And then I've also, the RFP will be open to everyone. The vendors that I have talked to, I've kind of worked with them to figure out if there's some short-term solution that we can do. And if we do have to wait 8 months, what can we do for the first part of the season? And they've all the ones I've talked to are willing to come up with some type of rental fleet, even if it's 20, 30 carts, to kind of get us through spring, early summer until we get the new carts. So.
That the lithium would be faster than the other ones. Do you have a time frame on those?
It's changing constantly, but right now, the latest update I got was around 6 months on lithium, probably best case, 8 months on gas. There. Right. And the space to charge, to have all the cards and all the electricity it's set up that would be needed. Not every, yeah. We could, and that's another thing. We could do a split fleet where we had part gas, part lithium, but that causes a lot of issues too. People come in, I don't want that. I want a lithium, I want a battery. And I would rather just go all in this time and do what we need to do to be ready to go all battery next fleet. Yep. Sim will be the easiest to convert between Mac and Tex and Sim. Yes, sir.
Okay, renovating McDonald Park Clubhouse real quick. Is it possible to put electric into there? Put in new service? Or they just don't have enough?
They don't have enough space, unfortunately. We could, what's that? Yeah, we don't, the car barn just physically, you can't, I mean, you're parking in the middle of the aisle to get all the carts in there. There's nowhere to do that. So we're gonna have to do some changes to that. We could add the electrical component now, but we're gonna have to add some type of space, over the next few years to be, I'm sorry? Well, gas, you can put a fence out. I mean, we have them right now chained up. They're outside. You take the keys out and they're okay. But for electric, you're gonna want to put that charger inside out of the weather. Mhm.
These carts do not have onboard chargers.
That has not been an option that I was given. I can check into that and see if that's an option, but I'm not 100% familiar. You would know more about that than I do, but how you, okay,
It goes under the seat.
how do you charge that?
You plug a plug-in into it, right out of your outlet. It charges.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. They would have that. Okay, I see what you're saying. I'm sorry. I was,
Yeah, I mean,
confused.
there's not the big.
Yeah, they would,
like the-
right. Yeah, we could, yeah, and that's not, other than that Sim, that's not the issue. It's just the space to put that many carts inside.
Can't use extension cord to run it to wherever the outlets are.
You would probably be able to get 2 carts on each cord, so you would need a ton of extension cords. I don't know if that would be code. Yeah, I think that might be a fire code. Yep. I don't know you guys, what you think, but okay.
In terms of this right here, you're wanting to get an okay. My question to Nate would be if you can, are you gonna do that, or is this gotta go through RFP, through purchasing department, or how's this gonna work?
I've already talked to purchasing. We've kind of been working on this because we were going to do this back three months ago, and they decided to wait. They wanted to wait until this board was in place just to kind of give ideas. This is something that we have to do something with cars. So this is what I want to what I'm recommending. I don't know necessarily it needs a vote, but I definitely wanted to hear your input and see if anyone had any other suggestions, ideas, and then we do need to vote on the price increase, which is a big component of this.
Should be from Nate then. If we vote, just vote to initiate the project, not to actually do it per se, then you could go to purchasing and get going that way, where you, next meeting, you come back for the vote, you can say, this is in place, okay, or ratify or not.
Close, yeah. So, the board, for the things within its purview, fees, carts, things like that, that approval is done by this board. An RFP is not issued by this board, though.
Right.
I think for practice, it makes sense to constantly communicate, which is what Jesse's doing here for sure. But yeah, you all don't need to like approve an RFP before it goes out.
I
But
think
before we can accept it,
you're,
that's what the board.
you're talking about the $2 increase. Oh, no, okay.
Vocabulary with, with the purchasing department right now, although you have not had a ratification by the board to purchase or lease.
Yes,
That's
yes,
the question.
yes. So,
It's just a matter of getting the process going,
of course.
having an official ratification of. by the-
Yeah, and then once it's finally in place, so the board doesn't have to be a part of all of the steps,
Right.
that's the power that you all have. Yeah.
Potentially, you could go through and when you come back 2 weeks and say, okay, we're gonna do this, and it's ready to go out for an RFP.
Correct.
Okay.
Right. I mean, and
But yeah, we
I'm-
can't sign anything without your approval, similar to city council
All,
and all.
all
that
the
shit.
preliminary work can be done, so when you actually vote on it the next time, say, well, it's going out tomorrow.
Right.
And another reason I bring that up is you need to expedite it, so some of the guys that I know are saying the prices or being able to sell the old fleet, the cost of it's going down.
it is, right. Yeah, the quicker the better. It's just kind of like homes right now, houses, it's starting to go down finally. So I mean, for every reason, the quicker we can do this, the better. So I really wanted to stress this tonight, get this ball rolling as fast as possible, and then we can vote on that $2 increase. But that $2 increase is a huge part of this plan for it to work the way I hope that it does. So I definitely wanted to present that to you tonight, and then we can do that official vote next meeting.
So
Okay, any
Jesse,
other? Yes.
yeah. So again, I touched on this, but I'd just like to say it again. I think the entire plan makes sense and it sounds like you've researched it very well. My only concern is the amount of pushback we're going to get on an increase unless if we're going to, I'm not sure that I understand why the increase needs to be immediate if the lease payments don't start for 6 to 12 months. I understand there needs to be some lead time there because we're going to sell carts and all that, but I'm just concerned about the pushback we're going to get on the promise. Yeah, we increased your cart fee, but you're going to get new carts someday. And so I just want to be sure we're sensitive to that may be where we get the pushback. In an ideal world, the fee increase would happen when the carts are here, because then nobody's going to push back against that.
Right. Well, I think I would answer that a couple different points to make about
Doesn't have
that.
torn up seats.
One, first thing I would say, we are well below the average of all the courses in the area with our cart fee. So I'll be honest, I would be looking at doing that even if we did not need it for this project. I would be looking at a cart increase. And I think if we're going to do it this year, we need to do it for the full season, for the full golf season, and not try to make a change in the middle of July or August. And then that money would still be going to carts so that down the road, even though we don't have the carts yet, that money that we start collecting now would still go to carts in the future to make sure we always have new carts and we're not in this situation we're currently in. That would be my argument to that. If someone else has a different opinion or.
No, that makes perfect sense to me. I just think we need to market the hell out of it.
Sure, I agree.
When was the last time you took a card?
4 years. And what was that increase?
PAC has a proposal to raise park fees, sat on it. I debated, went to the park board, it got delayed, then we went into the RFP problem. So the proposed park fee increase has been talked about for nearly 3.5 years and nothing's taken place.
Look at our company, we take a price increase every 5 years. We take a 3% price increase. 3% is very minimal for every 5 years and the way the economy is. And so, I mean, that's a small price increase in my opinion to.
Right. To Scott's point, I wish this would have been gradually over the last few years, but it hasn't. So now it's, I don't, $2, I would like to go make a smaller jump, but to get us where we need to be, I think that's something we have to do at this point.
As long as that shows up in that other fund that we discussed, that's an easy thing to point at.
Sure. Sure.
Right.
Okay, and we're not voting on anything, so is there any other discussion on this topic?
Dollars.
Second that motion.
Should I ask if they?
No, yeah, so. Yeah, you definitely can take that action. We don't currently have like a president and vice president right now, but the board, as we did before, like with the bylaws, as you're doing now, with motion and second, can take that action now.
Okay.
You say $2, you're talking about pre-tax, $2, whatever.
I'm sorry, yeah,
When we're talking about $2, it's presently $12.50. Just to clarify, are we talking about cart fees going to $15 and 9 holes going to $10 or whatever?
$9. That's correct.
Okay.
That's correct.
So basically, the pennies don't make any difference. The $2 is going into the fund.
Correct.
Part replacement. It's a designated money.
Right, that's $2 after tax. That's a true $2 will go into that fund every time someone rents a cart.
To the consumer, it's going from $12.50 to $15.
That's correct, with the tax. Correct.
So how long will the RFP process take then?
So this will be my first RFP with the city, so I would say we're probably looking at a month, start to finish to get the RFP out. We'll keep it open for 2 to 3 weeks and then we'll close it and award the contract. And I think that's realistic, so.
Why we need to get up to purchasing, get it. ready
Yes.
to Go.
Yes.
It'll go out,
Yep.
hopefully the
And
next day after you vote yay.
And I'll be honest, like I said, I was going to start this 3 months ago, so I've already talked to them. I mean, all the people that I need to work with on my end are well aware of this, and we've already discussed all the things. I think it'll be pretty quick. We're not starting from scratch at this point.
Have a motion and we have a second, and we evidently have a quorum. We have 5 out of the 7. We'd like to hear from the 2 that are not on or online their thoughts before we
Sure.
go any further.
Marcia and Jordan, I don't know if you guys could hear me, but they would like to get your thoughts on this before we, there was a motion made, but they want to get your thoughts before we move forward.
My thought is that I'm confident to go forward with the increase on the cost of the carts. Given my expressed concerns about making sure we're making it very public, and it sounds like that's been covered well, so I'm good.
And I think the plan that you created is great. I think the increase is going to go forward with no problem. I know you guys have done the proper marketing. I think it's the right time. You're killing it, Jesse.
Perfect. Thank you.
Can we go ahead and vote on it? Nate, is that okay, or?
Yeah, and that, yes, we can still take actions now within your powers. This is an action within your powers. It's just a little looser now because we don't have as much procedure in place. Yep.
I'm ready to get to about the 5th meeting.
We do have a motion and second, so it's open for consideration, and then Jesse's basically functioning as the president on some of these topics. So whenever we want to call for a vote at this point, or
Okay.
otherwise we can do so.
Sounds like a motion was made. We had a second. Any further discussion? Okay, I guess I'll lead the vote. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. All those against are none, so the ayes have it. So that is approved for cart fees to have a $2 increase. Okay. All right, we will move on to the next item. That is the golf policies. I sent this out to all of you today. There's nothing, let me figure this out.
Before you move on,
Mhm.
you got that cart lease down here under this. It'd be a new business. I assume then we haven't voted whether to buy or lease. What do you want to do? And you got to be bearing on something that
I'm sorry, didn't hear the last part.
said cart lease, and are we just assuming we're leasing, or are we gonna get buying, or?
Well, that was up for discussion. That's the plan I would like to do. So yeah, if there's
Okay.
discussion on that.
My question, obviously, because we have to vote on that.
No, I believe that I'm basically just sharing my plan with you guys for discussion. Now I'll lean heavily into your recommendations. I don't think that requires a vote, but I definitely want to, anything that's big like that, I'm going to share with you guys, and I want as much feedback as possible, even if it doesn't require a vote. If you all think that we need to go a different direction, I want to know that. So
Have the data on buying compared to leasing? I mean, I don't know. I have no idea what the cost difference would be, or, if you spread that out over X amount of years, whatever a cart lasts. I don't know.
right. Now, to be honest, they kind of have the cart lease is set up to kind of match the life of a cart, especially as busy as it is now. So the benefit to me is that you're not in the position we're in right now, where we have all these old carts and we're trying to figure out what to do. You're going to have a new fleet come in. There's different things that could happen. The company may come in 2.5 years into this and say, we're desperate for used carts right now. And we get all new carts without changing the lease. It basically stays at the same terms. A lot of different things that could happen at a lease that I see as a benefit. Purchasing the carts, to me, if you don't use the carts very much, that's probably the way to go. But our carts are being used 2 rounds a day, every day. And I just don't see us getting the lifespan of a cart to justify the purchase of the carts. Yes. Right. Yeah, and what he's saying, you can set your payment structure up where you pay a monthly payment 12 months out of the year, or you can condense it where you only pay 6 or 9 months out of the year. So in those winter months when you don't have the income, you're not paying that. Personally, I would like to stick to that 12-month on the way that I'm looking at doing this with that fund. The money, we're not going to spend it on anything else, and the money should be there. So I don't. There definitely that's a benefit if you're relying on cash flow, but my goal is to not rely on cash flow to pay for these cards.
The maintenance part is probably a big aspect too on the leasing.
Maintenance is huge. Yeah, we'll set it up where they will have a regular maintenance where they'll come out probably bi-weekly and check all the carts and fix any issues that we have. It'll be in the contract that they have a 48-hour response time. So if we have an issue, they have 48 hours to come and repair the cart or give us a replacement until they can repair it. That way our fleets are always at full capacity. We have all the carts that we need, and we're not in this situation.
The fact that you're putting it all in one fund, you lease it initially, your fund's gonna build itself up, and you can look at purchasing later if you care to, when you have a fund that you can dip into.
Sure. The way this works out, well, like I said, we'll be 3 years ahead, but the money that we bring in every year basically covers the lease. It's almost break even. So the fund really won't go up that much. It'll just stay, it'll keep the same amount of money in it.
In your first 30 months, it's gonna go up on your proposal there. You get.
Right. We'll build it up to that first 30 months and then it'll kind of stay at that level. Right. Right.
Half of your, a little better than half of your lease already. So
Sure.
you should have a cash pot in there after 30 months or whatever the
Absolutely.
specific time is.
Right. Any other discussion? Anyone see any reason to purchase? Okay. So in the policies, I don't have, this one. Jordan, Marcia, can you guys see that? Oh.
Yes.
Yeah.
For some reason it did not change. How is it not showing up there? They can see it, but we can't see it. Just go to PowerPoint. Close. What's that? Okay. Stop sharing and then share. Go ahead and stop and share it again. Right there.
There we go.
Okay, now I think we're good. Okay, I sent this out for you guys to review. There's nothing really we need to do. I just wanted you guys to look at it. Hopefully you've had a chance. If you did have a chance, were there any questions or anything that you saw that needed to change or be added or removed?
I only had time to
Okay.
glance at it, but does H need to be reworded somehow? Or are we the Wichita Golf Board? I mean, is that the terminology we're using now for us?
Oh, well, that will change once we, I guess, determine a name for this board. I'll
Okay.
put that in as a placeholder. I guess that's,
Well, that's fine. I mean, as long as it's clearly identified what
Who it is.
the fee is that's
Okay.
effective, it doesn't have to be the specific name.
Okay.
And we can change
Okay.
it if we change the name.
perfect.
Sorry.
That's
Again,
Hopefully you could hear that, sorry.
I'm ready for like the fourth, fifth, sixth meeting, so all this is worked out.
Sure.
Yeah, my main purpose of this, the golf pros, the superintendents, they need reinforcement when they're trying to enforce the policies that we have. They need something where they can point to and say, this is not me just making this up. This is our policies. And I know that's been an issue in the past. So I want to, once we get this worked out and everyone agrees, I want to post this in several places on the website, on the app, in the golf courses, in the clubhouses. Just to give them that reinforcement and so everyone knows exactly what our policies are. I think I want to be as transparent with this as possible to eliminate as many uncomfortable situations for staff as possible.
So Jesse, is this a
So-
brand new document?
The last document I found for the Wichita golf program was 2009. And
Okay.
this is there's a couple of things. I mean, obviously some of the basic rules are the same, but this is something that I kind of completely redid. I looked at 800 different golf courses for examples, some of the ones that I've done in the past, and then kind of applied it to our situation to make them what I felt were as good as I could to make sense for our program.
Okay.
Back of every scorecard
Mhm.
that people will get and look at. You know, they keep your card on tap by the green, by the tee box, all this kind of stuff. Is there a condensed version of this? I mean, this is 7 pages long.
Yeah, this is 3.5 pages. I put this together to cover everything. Now, once we agree on these things, obviously on the scorecard, I'll have a condensed version just for the main things that every person's gonna need to do. I mean, this talks about it talks about all kind of different things, groups and tournaments that won't need to be on there. So once we discuss this and we come to an agreement, then I would get that condensed version in place.
Is proper golf attire include tank tops?
So I was gonna bring that up. There's been discussion among staff. My personal thought on that is that it should be sleeves. Yeah, the t-shirt I'm okay with, but a tank top, whatever you call the wife beater shirts, whatever the proper name for those, I don't think those are appropriate for a golf course personally. I know some of the golf courses there are a lot of players that wear those. But I would definitely want to open that up for discussion and get your thoughts on that. I'm going to stop talking and I want to hear your thoughts if possible.
I think if you go with sleeves too, because a lot of people tear off t-shirt.
Right. Yeah.
We couldn't hear that.
He was saying if you're going to say tank tops, you need to say, or if you say no tank tops, you need to go ahead and say you must have sleeves because someone would cut their sleeves off or tear them off of a regular shirt and say it's not a tank top.
Okay, a whole lot of women wear sleeveless shirts.
It is, it is, it is golf attire. I mean, specifically, there aren't men's golf attire. There's not men's golf attire that are sleeveless that I know of.
True, true. I just don't want you to put that they have to have sleeves because women just don't do that.
Right. Right. Yeah, I can work on the wording of that, but as far as the sleeveless, does anyone have any issue with saying they must have sleeves on the golf course?
I just recommend that we say that, no tank tops are allowed.
Okay. Definitely agree with that.
Okay. A lot of women do, even my wife, she has shirts that are,
Sure.
I mean, they're nice golf shirts.
Yeah, right. Just different. Among staff, that was the only issue that was questioned so far, and kind of how we're gonna word that, so I can work on that and send it out to you guys. Were there any other,
Is the grouping up to form foursomes and fivesomes, is that gonna be on pro shop staff? Is that gonna be a main point of emphasis for the volunteers?
the volunteer is a starter, that'll be a primary focus for them. When the starter's not in place, Pro Shop will do the best that they can. I'm hoping during all the busy times where that's really an issue, we will have starters in place. But right now, there's so many times where it's a foursomes, a single, a threesome, a fivesome, a single. I mean, it's crazy. So, not only are we have a lot of people that are trying to get a tee time that can't get a tee time, but we're not using all of our tee times because we're sending singles out. So, there's just a lot that's wrong with that, obviously.
Tell them, Scott, tell them why you're 30 minutes behind. So when I had staff in there, I did the loop backwards. Nowhere on my T-sheet did I have a twosome, threesome period. They're all fours and fives. When they check in, whether it's myself or any of the staff, they will tell them that we have you paired with Smith to Priestley to this. There'll be 5 of you or 4 of you. So I made the loop around the golf course and I got to Robert on number 2 green. And I said, Robert, this game to some threesomes. It's not on your T-sheet. It's a printed T-sheet or CPS. And so here's the problem. In front of you, there's 3 groups of 3, 2 groups of 2. So by doing that, what happened, they just created 4 tee times I didn't have on the tee sheet.
Mhm.
So by powering to, or having a starter in place on number 1 tee on the heavy days, I'm not going to find myself in that position where I get those uncomfortable situations where I'm 30 minutes behind because I don't have anybody standing on the tee. At Auburn, I think during the season, our busy days, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and if junior golf stays the way it does, and the other 3 facilities are closed, we'll have them on Mondays. You know, when Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays are not an issue, but the busy days, if we had that out there, I wouldn't have that problem of twosome single, twosome single.
Yeah, the volunteer program is going to be crucial for many reasons, but especially at Auburn where you can't see the first tee box. It's across the street. Pro Shop staff has no way to know if they're pairing up, if they're splitting up when they get there, what's going on. So, yeah, and the feedback I've gotten from the volunteer program, just the fact that we are trying to get starters and marshals has been overwhelmingly yes, yes, yes. Like a lot of people are very happy to hear that. So, yeah, I think to your question, the volunteers are going to be crucial in that.
The past fivesomes weren't allowed on the weekends. Are we going to allow that?
So my understanding, that was a question I asked day one, is that a few years ago, I don't know when it was, they tried to go foursomes only, and the feedback on that was tremendous. Everyone was not happy at all. It did not go over whatsoever. So I'll be honest with you, this is the first place I've ever been that allowed fivesomes. Just, it was new to me. That was why I asked right off the bat, but, it's, there's so many at this point that I don't know if that's a battle we want to try to overcome at this point.
Next 6 hours.
I mean, and I've talked this over with staff over and over. I think the issue of singles and twosomes jumping in and splitting up is more of an issue at this point than the fivesomes. So we get that under control, and then there's still a huge problem. I think we address it at that point. I think we kind of start here and go that direction. Sure. Good, especially at McDonald where we don't have enough carts to start with. Sure.
I truly believe that if the volunteer marshal program is as successful as it sounds like it's gonna be, I see round times going way down. I mean, like Scott was mentioning, the slow rounds, it's almost always there's a single or a twosome
Mhm.
in the middle of. It's not gonna bump it down an hour, but I do see.
Marshall would be helpful.
Yep.
Keeping the pace. Step aside, let someone go through whatever.
Sure. Yeah, so I think what I would like to do is get this in place, focus on that for now, see where we stand, and then we can obviously we can make modifications. If that's not working and it's a huge problem this year, then that's something we need to look at very seriously.
Oh, it seems like speed of play is never determined by the number of players. It's determined by the skill of the players in the group. That's what sets the speed of play.
The skill and the mannerisms.
I was gonna say, bad golfers could be fast golfers.
Right. But if they're telling a story for 2 minutes before every shot, when the clip green's open, over the course of a round, that's a big problem. So, Scott, did you have something?
I signed up online as a twosome. I didn't realize it was kind of. I just go to the cheat sheet and I say, sir, you signed up for the double threesome, there's only 2 spots there. They're thinking that based on the fact that they signed up for 2 different states.
Yeah, that's on us. Once we get this put together to make sure that's clear when they sign up, that it says you may be paired with other players. Right. Right.
I had the same complaint the other day. I was saying that, and I don't know, when you book online, when it shuts off, when we can't see it, is it 2 hours before your tee time or is it sooner? I don't know what that, if I book it today or tomorrow off at noon and I want to change it instead of calling in, what's the time frame that it shuts down the website? Like as far as to change my tee time? There's times I've tried to cancel it and then I'd have to call in and say, hey, I need to cancel my tee time because I can't make it. But one of his complaints was that, and then also the fact that the twosome and threesome of when you get paired up, just say, I know it says you only have 2, but, and I don't know legally if you can do that. And so he said something about having the names that are playing at 12 o'clock or 2 o'clock. I don't think legally you can do that because then you're seeing who's there. But his complaint was pretty much what you're saying about that is just, not knowing that he signed up for twosome. I know that, and we all know that, but somebody that doesn't golf a lot, they're like, well, we don't play by ourselves. And
yeah, we need to do a better job of making sure it's posted very plainly that you may be paired up with other players if you're less than a foursome. I think that's maybe
if you have 2 spots saying you will be paired up with the other threesome, just knowing when you sign up, you will be paired no matter what.
right. Yeah. Okay. Any other discussion with the policies? And obviously, if you guys go through this, more in depth and you have questions, reach out. Okay.
This is just an information deal, because I got some questions. T times D. No person may make more than one tee time reservation per day. I play in groups that's got 3 or 4 groups. They can only make one.
No, the same name cannot book at 8 o'clock and then again at 3 o'clock.
Okay.
That's what it means.
Talking multiple times that are separate.
Right. No, a group can, yeah, they can do, if there's 10 tee times worth of players, that's great, but you can't book at 2 different tee times for yourself on that day.
Well, I mean, if one guy calls in and you got 15 guys coming, he can't say player A, player B, and player C for 3 different tee times.
That's fine, what you're saying, like with a big group. I'm saying you can't say, I'm gonna play 36 holes myself today. You do that after you get done, you can go in if there's space, obviously you could play, but you couldn't book 36 holes per person.
To me, this is not clear. Then.
Tee time reservation.
If I'm booking for 15 guys, I'm making 3 tee times.
But
Okay,
you just
I'll-
need to
I'll
make
let
the
that
3
reword that.
tee times under
Am I
3 different
off or
names.
something?
I get what you're saying.
I see what you're saying. I'll,
And he's saying that you can't book a morning and an afternoon.
Well, but that doesn't say that. I mean, all I want is clarification.
okay,
To how many tee times an individual can get calling in for multiple groups.
okay, I'll reword that. I highlighted that. So I see what you're saying. I'll reword that. So it's each player can only, I'll figure out the wording on that. So it's, you can't play 36, you can't book 36 holes of golf in a
Well,
day.
I just want to make sure somebody
Sure,
calls in,
sure.
because I got guys that call in and make the tee time for the whole group.
Yeah, and that's fine. That's not what I meant by this, but I see what you're saying and how that's
And
confusing.
then on down to E, where you're in the frost delays,
Uh-huh.
and we just push back the tee times. Again, this is just fodder for talk. Have you ever considered using like 2 courses with shotgun start so that you get a definitive tee time? You know that the frost's going to push you back till 10.
That's fine if the tee sheet is open 2 hours later, but when you shotgun that and you come back around to 1, if it's tee sheets back, you can't do that.
You would shotgun off everything you could and then fill in behind it with regular tee times.
You're, yeah, you're,
Saying shotgun. I think he's saying like, you're starting off on the.
no, yeah,
Shotguns,
It's just-
16, 17, 18.
right. I know what he's saying.
15 gets by, then you.
I'm just throwing this out for conversation. It doesn't have to be now because we're pushing the time here.
Right. I think if your tee sheet is booked, that doesn't work. If your tee sheet's booked from 8 o'clock to 3 o'clock,
We determined what golf course does it. In other words, Auburn, he's at regular tee times, but Sim Park, if you want to have a specific time.
oh, you're saying one course out of the 4 does it? So you would send,
That's just food. for
so if
thought.
someone was at Sim, you could tell them, if you'll go to Auburn, you can get in a shotgun, is that?
No, well, you could predetermine that by, you'd already have
Okay.
listed that this golf course on this
Okay.
day is a shotgun.
The other problem with that is some courses maybe have a frosted lane, another one may not. So it's,
Well, that's why it came up with me, because I stopped by for the first time and I don't know when at Sim Park after getting my haircut the other day, which
Yeah.
coincidental. And they were so far slow getting it out that the guys took off and went to McDonald Park. They could get off at McDonald Park.
yeah, Sim seems to have the longest frost delays because of trees or whatever reason. The frost just doesn't lift as quick there. So,
That's just food for thought. That's
yeah, okay, okay. Mhm.
Nine o'clock, 1 o'clock. But you're saying that that's not gonna be allowed?
You're saying it's the same person playing?
Lunch, then go back out and have.
What I would recommend on that is they call the golf pro at the course, and the golf pro can look at the availability of tee times and make a decision based on that. I mean, there's gonna be some situations where that just don't fit into the typical play of golf. So I think you just kind of use judgment on that to figure out how to handle it. Yep. Okay. No more discussion. We'll move on to a good topic. Yes, sir.
What is the reason why you can't play 36 holes?
Because I mean, with us being obviously a government facility, if one person is booking 2 tee times every day and other people, other members, other people in the community can't get a tee time, that person is blocking all the tee times and blocking access to other people that definitely should have the same ability to get on the golf course as they do. I think that would be the main thing.
I mean, exactly see what you're saying. What would stop? Well, I'll book a tee time at 8 o'clock. I'll have John book a tee time just to defeat that. I mean, that's probably what's gonna end up happening in the long run if you do that.
I mean, people are gonna find workarounds
Yeah.
over everything on this sheet probably, so we just do the best we can. Yeah. We had people when I was in Virginia, they had bots that were booking their tee times. So our tee times were released at 10 o'clock, and at 10 o'clock .01, there were 25 tee times already. People are gonna, so we'll do the best we can with that.
Go through this thing. You refer to some of this like in this profanity deal, it says course. I think you should change that to something like premises or something to include the clubhouse, parking lots, because there's a lot of,
Where are you at right there?
it's like down here on J or K.
Oh,
J, yeah. It just says
Gotcha.
foul language, blah, blah,
Okay.
blah. But it says course.
okay.
I'd like to have that a little more inclusive because I've been
On the premises.
clubhouses where
Sure,
the
sure.
ladies and even I like myself, and I'm not a saint, but
I don't believe it, but okay.
but there's some language that shouldn't be allowed
Sure.
inside the club.
Yeah, it's a good point. I'll change that to anywhere on the property. Okay. All right.
And when you get on down, I know you always have a problem with alcohol. Do you want to be inclusive in that? Because if guys dragging soda pops into the clubhouse outside, you take throwing them on the cart, blah, not just alcoholic beverages. There's a lot of guys that carry things other than that.
Are you, sorry, that, what you saying when they bring their own, is that what you're?
Yeah,
Yeah, so that'll be another thing for the starters, to kind of monitor that and help. If someone pulls up with a huge cooler that they snuck out in the parking lot and got, that'll help a lot. With that, I mean, that's another,
yeah, it just needs to be kind of more.
they make golf bags now that have coolers built in the bottom that are hidden. So we'll do the best we can, but I think that starter and Marshall program will help with that as well.
I can understand somebody walking in with a cup of coffee in their hand because they got to the facility and that they had it coming in, but
Yeah.
carrying it out all over the place, I mean, that's a
Right.
different story.
Well, we don't get in trouble if someone's drinking coffee. We do get in trouble if someone's drinking outside alcohol. So that's
Like I say, there's a lot of money that walks out the door. Got a guy out there with I mean, we got them carrying them out and then they hand them out to their buddies, so. it's-
Yep.
So Mike, you're saying that you're recommending that we don't allow any other beverages?
Well, that you're already saying that.
It's actually against the law for someone to bring alcohol.
No, not alcohol. He said any type of. beverage.
Oh,
They're already basically saying that, but it gets to be the problem is with these guys having enforced on that stuff.
right.
That's.
Yeah.
That per se, that instance, but I mean, if somebody's got a big old cooler of soda pops.
And again, the way it is right now, they're in the pro shop. They don't have time to walk outside and look. So this starter Marshall, I think, will be a big help there. Okay. Next up is I wanted to give a quick update on January so far. This is a good thing. So obviously the weather's been pretty good for us. since the first of the year, as bad as it was in November and December, it's flipped around. Now, I'm not going to jinx it, so I'm not going to say anything else. But you can see our rounds compared to the first 16 days in January last year. This year, we're up nearly 2,000 rounds, almost double already. Cart rentals are 1,200 up. Cart revenue is nearly $14,000 already, up over last year, 26,000 total. Driving range is up 2,200. Food and beverage, that you can look at that number. We were at 3,000 basically at this point last year, and we're almost at 9,000 right now. And I know Kevin's got some updates and some exciting things, but we're really gaining momentum in the food and beverage. And then the merchandise, we're at 2,000 last year, we're at 7,600 this year. So I say it all the time, we just need weather and we're going to be successful. We have the players. So I wanted to share that. That's a heck of a start to the year through 16 days. Any questions on anything related to this?
All your various passes and what have you, what you make on it per round on those things, or
Yeah.
plus whatever you spend for them. I'd just be curious. It's
Yeah, I'm
compare your pricing so that you get somewhat of a comparable cost.
right. I'm working on the what it cost us per round. Like I told you last time, I'm working on this business plan and all that will be part of that. The cost per round, we've looked at member, non-members, just overall what the average is, and I don't have that right here, and I've looked at 80 million numbers, so I don't want to give you wrong information. With the membership, especially the senior membership, as low as it is, and the number of rounds they play, it's not very high, especially if you compared it to other courses, straight public courses that pay full green fee or memberships that are much higher. So there's definitely opportunity there, and we'll look at that as we get in more of these meetings. But we'll look at the price of our membership, and I'll have all that information for you in detail, the price per round, what it costs us, and kind of some different scenarios with that.
Apologize, I was at another meeting, so I just want to add in regards to fees. These are some of the things that we've talked about for at least almost 2 years. And for one reason or another, we've kicked the can down the road, whether it's been adding fees for golf carts or changing some of the fees for the passes. And this past this past June, it was the next to the last meeting that we had with the old Golf Advisory Committee. I actually had gotten their recommendation for both of those situations to actually increase the fees for the passes as well as increase the fees for the carts. Actually, that might have been in May. And then with some transition that was happening, I got direction from council because they were really interested in having this board assembled and having this board move forward with some of these decisions. And that's when the authority changed from council to this board to help make the decisions on fees. So a lot of the things that we've been talking about in regards to changing the fees, particularly for the carts, but also for the passes, has already been researched. We have data, we have information. Jesse has been pulling some of that stuff together. And I've been putting a lot of work on Jesse. He's been working his butt off on a lot of different things, primarily getting the courses taken care of with staffing. There's a lot of low-hanging fruit that he's been working on. But I've been pushing him now because we've been leaving money on the table. We've been leaving lots of money on the table. Our fees are the lowest around. They haven't been changed much at all. Particularly the passes. The passes are a deal and a half for a lot of folks that play a lot of golf. And we need to have that revenue coming in to replace the golf carts. So these are all things that we've talked about, but I think we need to present it. And that's what the next thing that's going to happen is Jesse's going to present that information more strategically and kind of show you a lot of the information that we've already come up with. So there's been some changes in the past 6-7 months, but not a whole lot. I just wanted you guys to know that these are things that have been discussed already. These are all things that need to happen. We just need to put it in a more logical and strategic way. So, thank you. I just wanted to share that with you.
Thank you, Troy. All right. Any other comments or discussion before we move on? Okay, next up, we've got, I went ahead and left the course updates. Now, we met 2 weeks ago. Again, there hasn't been a lot of change. So at Auburn Hills update, Scott, I don't think you said you had really anything. We did have one issue. We had an irrigation pump that went out. I think Ron had mentioned it at the last meeting. That ended up being around $31,000. But it's our, our life out there. We had to do it. So we're in the middle of getting that repaired now. I don't think there's anything else at Auburn. At Sim, Colin, was there any updates for Sim that you had?
Police and fire out, they've been starting a lot of fires. And they come out, they can put them out, and they just start them again. That area to the right of 14 is really growing. They have Tent City back there, so it's something we're gonna have to keep looking at. And earlier in the year, I think Darren will say something too. Earlier in the year, they stole a bunch of our water coolers. And
The fire would be my main concern, the fire. So that's something we'll work with the different people within the city to try to help that.
So again, I got a couple comments. It's really, really important to keep calling the police over and over again and making sure that the HOT team, which is the homeless outreach team, is involved. What they do is they ask these folks to leave, but they have to have a 72-hour notice to ask them to leave. And so what they do is the HOT team, the police officers, they come and tag the area and tell them they have 72 hours to leave. And then hopefully they leave, but that doesn't solve the problem. They just leave to go somewhere else. And that problem still persists. But the important thing is to keep calling the police. If it takes multiple calls a day, that's what needs to happen.
it's a bit of a unique area where they can't really get to.
Interesting. Okay. Darren, did you have?
Clean a lot of the ones on the river. And Mike drove through there a couple weeks ago. Cause they kind of, when we haul our limbs back in there, we got a burn pile, but a pile. They were starting to surround us continuously, making us feel very.
Okay.
So them have moved on. These ones on.
Okay.
One
Yeah.
of the groups left.
I'll echo what Troy said, just continuously call over and over. Okay. I did mention that at Sim, we've got the well issue that we're trying to figure out what the problem is, but that's going to be probably a big expense as well. Okay. Anything else at Sim? Okay. McDonald Golf Course. We got Ron. Anything new since last meeting?
All these things for money was encumbered last year.
Right.
And I'll get that money was encumbered last year.
Good. Good. Very important for the improvements that we want to make at McDonald's. So that's good to hear. Keith, he will retire February 17th, so he will not be, then I think the next meeting is on the 21st. So we are starting the process to get his replacement and get the ball rolling on that. So I'll keep you guys updated on that. Text Consolver, Steve had a meeting, so he was not able to be here. There's not a lot that's happened since. We did have the platform that one of the pumps, the irrigation pumps sit on, they're redoing that platform. They're gonna have to redo that platform, so they're coming to give an estimate. Otherwise, it's eventually just gonna fall through and the motor's just gonna fall into the well. So that's something we're looking at right now to see what the remedy for that is. Other than that, Kevin, did you have something? It's for Tex? Oh, gotcha. Okay. Okay, so next up, the project update. I just had a couple of things. Any questions about any of the courses specifically before I move forward?
Generally, do
Mhm.
we have special needs, like you say, the pump is having a problem, or does that just come out of the general fund?
It's general fund. We have the equipment replacement fund, which is set aside for maintenance equipment. We have now we're gonna start the cart replacement fund for the rider golf carts. Everything else right now is just general fund. So it all comes out of our budget. So now we are in a good position right now, but obviously with golf, something big can happen at any time and eat that away. So it's something that as I get this business plan put together and present it to you guys, that's something we can look at that point of if there's something we want to start, or I'll be open to ideas and suggestions on that as well.
So the Golf Enterprise Fund, it performs as well as the golf system performs. So if it performs well, the funds in that enterprise fund grow. And as things don't go well, if we don't get enough golfers, we get bad weather or whatnot, then it really contracts. And so a couple years ago, 3 or 4 years ago, we actually were in the red. And at that point in time, the general fund bailed out the enterprise fund, which came out of my park budget, which meant that I lost dollars for other things that were in the park budget. So it's really important that the enterprise fund stay very solvent, stay in the black. And we kind of are working on having not necessarily a reserve fund, but having a good cushion of always having a certain amount of money in the golf fund. And we're doing really well right now. So it's something that we're really not too concerned about. But one of the things that we talked about was always at least having a certain amount of funding in the golf fund, which is roughly between $250,000 or $300,000 always in there that would stay untouched in case something really, really bad happens and we're just not making revenue. So.
A vote that we made earlier for the motion for the cart fee, did we really set a date or a time where that will be initiated, or is that yet to be determined? Or I just wanted to clarify.
We did not determine a date. I would say that was effective immediately as soon as we can get everything on our end in place as far as update the computer system and get it all marketed correctly.
Yeah, and just kind of how that would generally operate. It's like the board authorizes the action to be taken by the director. If you'd like to in the future, I think that might be a best practice worth considering if there is a time frame. But this one is now Jesse has the power to implement it, and then just kind of he'll report back to you when he can, I think.
Okay, so next up, quick project update. First off, at McDonald Golf Course, we partnered with First Tee. They're getting ready to build one of their campuses, their main campuses there. You can see on the left, that's kind of a rendering of what it's going to look like. One thing that we've done, we've worked out a deal with them where they're going to purchase a range ball dispenser, and they're going to build a range ball dispenser. Right now, the range is, if you're familiar, it's a long way from the clubhouse. People get the balls, get in their vehicle, drive. It's just a mess. So we're going to keep the balls by the driving range. Once their new facility is built, it's going to be built with a covered area where this range ball will be stored. In the meantime, First Tee, I thought this was pretty neat. First Tee got with East High School and their whatever it's called. They call it Blue Aces Construction. So it's a group of students that this is their project over the winter, is to build the temporary housing for this range ball machine. It's almost complete. The range machine is in. It's in Ron's shop right now, and this structure is nearing completion. So they'll bring it out. We'll get it all set up. We're going to have the range machine and the ball washer inside this structure, so that staff doesn't have to pick the balls, bring them all the way back to the clubhouse, wash them, and it's just, they're storing them all in the pro shop, and it's just it's not very efficient at all. So we're really excited and thankful that First Tee worked with us on this to get this going. So it's a pretty neat addition, I think. Not yet. There's a couple of ideas that I have that I think we just need to get some other things in place first. That those lots are expensive to install, so it's something that we can talk about. But I worked at a course in Florida that had lots on the range, and we stayed pretty busy. So I think it's something we could definitely discuss down the road. I was telling you about last meeting. We did that on last Tuesday on the 10th. It went great. We had around 55 staff members in attendance. We had to leave some staff at the courses because it was very nice that day. So we didn't want to shut the courses down. So they stayed and worked. So we're going to add a second training the first week of February for all the remaining staff. There should be about 30 more staff members that will come to that training. But overall, it went very well. I got a lot of good feedback, and the staff was very engaged, which is all I could hope for. So now moving forward, that customer service is going to be kind of the top of the mind for me. I want to make sure that's a focus for everyone that comes into our facilities, is they're getting the best experience possible. So very happy and pleased with that. And I want to point out Scott there, the dork in the front. See, okay. Next week, sad to say, 6 of us are going to go to Orlando, where it's going to be 80 degrees, and I think it's 62 for a low most of the nights. We're going to the PGA Merchandise Show. Be Scott, Colin, Steve, myself, Kevin, and Greg. We're going to go, and if you guys may or may not be familiar with the PGA Merchandise Show, but it's everything in the golf business is on display there. So as we look to kind of get up to speed with the latest technologies, the different things that the courses can offer, products, just everything is there. So we're really excited to go, and I've kind of got a plan to document a lot of that and kind of put out some social media and kind of create some buzz and kind of get a lot more out of it, and then create some excitement for some of the things that hopefully we're going to be bringing back to our courses. I just want to point out the picture on the bottom is the demo day. Every club manufacturer, teaching aid, everything that you can do outside will be set up. This driving range it's a huge circle. It's about 500 yards across. And they're set up all the way around the outside of that driving range. So we're going to see everything that you could possibly have outside on a golf course. So I'm looking forward to bringing some really cool stuff back with us and some good ideas. Any questions on anything, any of that? Yes.
Sending Ron or any of these guys to the GCSA National.
Ron is going in February. Yep. I don't think anyone's been in several years, so he's going to go this year. I'm really big on conferences and different things just to stay on top. I mean, if you don't go, you don't know what's out there, and you do the same thing for every year, and everyone passes you by. So I'm real big on that. So we'll start looking at more and more educational opportunities and different ways that we can connect with other industry leaders. Any other questions?
Looking for anything specific when you go to the.
I got a list. I've got a huge list. Yeah, we're looking at obviously the technology, we're looking at our point of sale systems, our T-sheet systems. Driving range, I want to make huge improvements to our driving ranges. We're looking, all the carts will be there. It's stuff that I've never heard of about. I'll learn about 20,000 new items next week. So that, yeah, I've got a huge list of things that I'm looking forward to see.
Got one other real quickie.
Yeah.
McDonald Park on your ball dispenser, when do you think the time frame is on that?
We're hoping around the middle of February. It'll be, as soon as they bring that building, we hook it up and go.
Once that happens, are you gonna make sure that that cart doesn't leave the clubhouse and go to the driving range then? There's a big liability there. Having been through one where a guy got his eye knocked out because of that, I would rather not see those carts going to the range.
You're saying the carts driving on the course or on the road?
Even the clubhouse, going down the path and going
Okay.
to the range. I was coming back, and this wasn't when they had that, but the gentleman left his putter on the putting green.
Mm-hmm.
Come back from number one, jumped on the path, the guy didn't see him, knocked his eye out. That's a possibility. It's not a good scenario, and I'd rather not see that guy wanting to hit range balls, that traffic going up and down there. Personally, I haven't seen an issue with that since I've been here. Something I'm definitely going to look at now. I have seen an issue with range balls going onto the course. Right.
And we're looking at, options there.
Fortunately, this is something I went through.
Right. Yeah, no, it's terrible. I'll look at that. It's not really been on my radar. I'll be honest, I've never heard anyone say that, or I've never seen an issue there.
Put your tokens in, that kind of alleviates some of that problem, and is that you can drive your car, go in the clubhouse, and you're ready to go, so.
Yeah, but the only time that would ever happen is someone that's going to play. They're just hitting a warm-up bucket before they play, so they would drive their cart and then come back and tee off.
Well, and if the ball's down there, then he can stop by in his car and go.
Yeah, we'll have to sell tokens in the pro shop, so they would have to come to the pro shop. Unfortunately, the credit card systems on the machines don't meet the security standards that the city has, so we can't use a credit card machine on the ball dispenser, so we'll have to sell physical tokens. I'll look into that. And I'll talk to Steph and we'll look and see. I just don't know any other way to get to the driving range from the clubhouse though, so. It's good. I never knew that happened, so thank you for that. Okay, next up, Kevin. You got food and beverage. Did you have any? Okay.
Be brief.
Oh, you can take over.
No, I'll be brief and kick it back to you. So in the last presentation, I talked a little about liquor license and showed the different canned liquors that are available and new stuff on the market. Well, in going through the process, because I had already started the process for the liquor license, we kind of ran into a roadblock that Jesse and I had to go to Troy with, which was who has to be listed, because a cereal malt beverage license that we have now is strictly handled by the city, and then a list is sent to the state. They don't actually do any of the licensing at the state. Anything above that, it's state involved. So the way it was working with the city of Wichita listed, I would have had to put the mayor and the controller and everybody on there, which isn't going to happen. So what we're considering, and what we just wanted to kind of let you know what we're looking at, and we've been working with Nate a lot, is we're gathering information to form a golf nonprofit in order to secure liquor license for not just Auburn, but for all the courses in the future. So we're working with Troy and Nate to see what we have to do to get there. But it seems like the best path to go. And in Jesse's past in Virginia, they did this the same way, where they had this nonprofit, and it's just strictly we move funds to there. It's used for licensing, and that's really kind of all it's used for at this time. And I said, I don't know a whole lot about it. We're working with Nate a lot, so just wanted to run it by you that that's out there, and we're looking into doing it because we've looked at other options, and there really isn't much other options at this time. So we're gathering the information, and we'll present more next month, but we need to get it rolling along. Questions, comments? All right, back to you.
Okay, again, since we just met 2 weeks ago, there wasn't a lot of new items, but I did want to really stress that cart plan. That's something as soon as we starting tomorrow, I'm gonna really push for that to get that rolling. So that was kind of the most pressing issue I feel to get that started. So, are there any other comments, any other discussion on any other items that we need to talk about before we adjourn? Yes, sir.
Your report for the first 2 weeks operating for the first 2 weeks of January. Food and beverage had a substantial jump. Merchandising too, but food and beverage, I was just curious, is there's been some kind of an implementation where you've changed prices or what caused that specific jump?
Well, I think one thing, we had 2,000 more rounds, so 2,000 more rounds, if they're spending $3 a person, that's your number.
I'll just say that versus what the rounds generated, blah, 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 that it was,
Right.
300, 200%
So-
more. And
Yeah, we have a goal right now, a temporary goal of $3.50 per customer in food and beverage. We've hit that goal and we're looking to increase that now. So as the rounds go up and we have 2,000 more rounds that we did last year and us hitting that goal, it's a significant jump. And Kevin's working like crazy on different ideas. And I think he's about to say something, but different ideas and different things to increase that food and beverage. So go, Kevin.
People were still, we had some members out there golfing in December, but it was too cold to be there. Even so.
Yeah. And Kevin didn't mention this, but we're making a big push for events as well, outside events, whether it's tournaments or really right now we're focused on weddings and business meetings and different things. And he is really starting to get a lot of traction on that. We've booked a large group for several meetings. It's going to have 40 to 60 people at each meeting. We're talking to another group that's 140 to 150 people. And this is all just additional revenue. It doesn't affect golf. We block off that room and it's just additional revenue for us. And as we do these renovations at the rest of the clubhouses, we can do that at more than just Auburn. And if you do one of those a week at 4 courses, the increase in revenue is substantial over the course of a year. So there's a big emphasis on that now that Kevin's on board, and we're very happy so far, even without the renovations, of the momentum that's started to generate. So I definitely want to mention that and all the hard work that he's doing. Okay.
I have one last thing to say.
Yes, sir.
I want to apologize to Marcia because when I was referring to cutoff sleeves, I was truly referring to men. So I want to certainly apologize to you.
You're
It's all right.
Yeah,
You're
so
just
I didn't want to, I truly didn't mean anything negative. I just want to apologize.
You're
I
just
can sleep better at night now.
you're just lucky she's not here in person.
I appreciate that. Understood completely.
All right. Well, if there's nothing else, we can adjourn. Thank you all very much.